Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Writers News and Rumors. We got another Canucks episode today, and I'm joined by Matthew Zator, here to talk about the Canucks. Things have turned around since last time we talked, so let's just kind of get right into it. So obviously against the Washington Capitals, there were two pretty big losses to the roster. Filip and Jonathan Lekkerimaki, they both went out with injury. Do you want to start with Filip? First question is, what did you think about the hit on Filip from Tom Wilson?
Well, in my opinion, it was late. I don't know if it warranted a 5-minute major. It didn't actually get anything. He was put in the box. They reviewed it for the 5-minute major, but then decided it was a good hockey hit and got no penalty at all. But Chytil left the game. They didn't say it was a concussion. It looked like an apparent, of course, they're going to check him out. He left. He didn't look very good. He didn't get knocked unconscious or anything like that, but he left in his own power, but didn't look very good. The thing is, with anyone that gets concussions as many times as Chytil has, just a little bit of a jarring. And of course, Tom Wilson hits hard, and it doesn't matter if it's dirty or it seems like his hits always look not the best, but he was just hit hard. I thought it was just a little bit late. It probably should have got an interference penalty, but it's the thing about Chytil. It's so tough whenever he gets hit in just it jars his head. You don't know. And I just hope that it's, fingers crossed, it's not something that's the last concussion he gets and he has to, it's the worst case scenario, but any of them could be that, which is unfortunate. And he has started the season so well too. He has 3 goals already. Looked almost every game. He looked really good. It's unfortunate he has to be injured, but hopefully it's not for very long. We'll find out probably the next couple of days if it's anything serious. And of course, with concussion protocol, you always have to go through the 24 hours. And if you're not good, it resets the clock. It can become a really tough timeline. So I'm hoping he's not out for very long because you just hate seeing him get hit like that. And it just has to be him, of course, that gets hit. But we'll see if he's okay.
Yeah, and so Jonathan Lekkerimaki, he's also been kind of playing an important role with the Canucks. So what do you have to say about his injury?
Well, one thing I didn't really see when he got injured, but it's from reports is a shoulder injury. So again, that is probably hopefully it's not too major. But the thing is, he left and they didn't come back. And when you're ruled out of a game, it's something that they're going to have to check out. So I'm hoping it's not too bad. He's been a healthy scratch. I think it was the last couple games he hasn't been in the lineup. Obviously reunited the Abbotsford line that won the Calder Cup, or helped win Abbotsford the Calder Cup, their top line. And it's funny because they're the Canucks' 4th line right now. Chemistry is great for them, and they've played really well. That's why Lekkerimaki hasn't been in the lineup. And it's tough with him because I was going to say if he didn't get injured, I was going to have a segment on here talking about he should be sent down to the AHL. He's not going to play, but it looks like he might not play because he's injured. But yeah, Brock Boeser took personal leave of absence. So that's why Lekkerimaki played today. And he left early. So he wasn't really able to replace Boeser. So I'm hoping that's not very serious. It was just kind of precaution, just keep him out and see what it is. But yeah, he could play a big role depending on how long Boeser's out. Probably not going to be very long. You never know what it is. They never really say until he's back, and they may not even say at all. But he probably won't be out too long, and now Lekkerimaki won't be the guy replacing him. So I'm hoping it's not too serious.
Right. So speaking of the top guys, kind of how they're playing, Elias Pettersson, you were not happy with his performances last week when we talked. Things have changed a little bit. So Elias Pettersson, he's starting to find his game. What do you think about his last week?
Well, I mean, especially the last couple games, he's looking more like the Pettersson. You look at the stat line, it's like, oh, it still doesn't look very good. He's looked more like the Pettersson from the last couple years ago. He's making plays. He's confident in his puck, with the puck. He's starting to shoot a lot more. You're looking at the goal he scored today against the Capitals, snipe, top corner. That's a confident shot from Pettersson, and that got him going. He's also playing really well defensively, not just not just good position, but he's laying out for block shots. He blocked 2 shots against the Capitals in the final minute. Alex Ovechkin shots, 2. And that's laying out your body in the last minute of the game, holding on to a lead. He's trusted by Adam Foote defensively, and he's working a lot harder. And I questioned his work ethic in the last News and Rumors, and he's showing a lot more of that work ethic. We're fighting for pucks, fighting around the net. He's looking like he cares, and that's what I wanted to see. And eventually those chances that he got, the Chicago Blackhawks game, he should have had a hat trick. I mean, I don't know how many chances he had where it just went off the heel of his stick. He wasn't in the right, it just didn't hit off him in the crease. It just, when luck starts going for him, he'll start getting the goals. And he just has to keep working hard, getting the chances. Eventually they'll start going in. And I'm starting to see more of that elite type Pettersson, and I really like it. So hopefully it continues. And yeah, he's been a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean, they need that. If the Canucks want to have any success, it has to start with Elias Pettersson starting to play well.
Yeah.
So moving on to Aatu Raty. He is a healthy scratch as of late. Obviously, he was a very highly touted prospect at one point and has kind of fell down the draft and then was traded from the Islanders. But Aatu Raty is a healthy scratch. Filip could be out long-term. He's had the concussion issues in the past. Do you think that this is an opportunity for Raty to take over?
It is. I mean, the thing is, he probably will insert right onto that second line with DeBrusk. It's changing a bunch, but it's second line center. The wingers might change. Evander Kane's kind of flipped between the top first line and second line the last few, but he would probably slide in as a second line center. Which is basically what he did when Chytil went out last season, late last season, and he started playing the way that the Canucks wanted to see from him when they acquired him in the Bo Horvat trade. I think his ceiling is a second line center. He's great on faceoffs. He's big. He's strong on the forecheck. I just didn't like that he's been sitting out the last couple games because he's the best faceoff man on the Canucks. And I mean, yeah, he wasn't producing. He only had an assist. He played the first 4 games, but then they reunited the Abbotsford line. And then Teddy Bluger came back into the lineup against the Blackhawks. So that's what pushed him out of the lineup. So, I mean, and Sasson has scored the previous 2 games. They don't want to take him out. So I guess Raty was just the odd man out. I guess it wasn't because of how bad he was playing or anything like that. But I just feel like he needs to be playing as a young guy. Can't be sent down to the minors because he has to clear waivers. And of course, the team will probably claim him. This is a guy that could potentially fill in as a third line center on most teams. So, I mean, I don't think Canucks are going to risk that. So he's either healthy scratch or he's in the lineup. And I think he's just more valuable with, not sitting in the press box. So I think he should be playing. Now with Chytil injured, he probably will miss the next game, I'm assuming. So Raty will be back in, and he's going to have a huge opportunity to basically say, I'm not leaving the lineup.
Yeah, and I mean, he's only 22. He's one of the youngest players that is not waiver exempt. And he's one of the most talented kind of bubble players that, like, you look at all the names that were on waivers in the training camps and preseason, he would have been claimed, guaranteed. He's just started, over the last 2 seasons, he's really found his offensive touch in the AHL. He does have the two-way kind of stuff too, like you were talking about the face-offs, and he's all right defensively. He's a guy that you don't want to see sitting. You want him to get the reps, and you want him to play. And if he can come into Filip role, he great opportunity to thrive. So speaking of other players thriving, Conor, Garland, and Kiefer Sherwood, we talked about them last week on their work ethic when we were talking about Pettersson. It's not just about the work ethic with these guys. Like, it's not just, those are hardworking players, kind of like Don Cherry would say. Good, hardworking Canadian boy. They're also putting up the stats. So Kiefer Sherwood and Conor Garland have been kind of lighting it up lately, especially relative to their expectations. What do you make of that? Are they going to be playing in bigger roles down the line?
Well, Sherwood has 4 goals in 6 games. He leads the Canucks in scoring right now, above Brock Besser with his goal today. And I mean, he's being elevated as one of the best out of the lineup. He's actually on the first unit power play, and he scored on the power play today too. And we all know, we've talked about his physicality and the way he scored 19 goals last season. If he continues on this, he's going to blow past that. I don't see it. 4 goals in 6 games. I don't think that's the pace he'll be on.
What would that be, like 57, 58 goals, something like that?
Yeah, it'd be insane. But I see him approaching that 20 goal mark again. So, I mean, he's just a guy that's just, I think, found his offensive game in the last couple seasons. And he leads the Canucks in goals. And Conor Garland leads the Canucks in points with 6, a goal and 5 assists. He just scored his first goal the other day against, I believe it was against the Blackhawks or the Stars. I can't remember what game that was. But he did just score his first goal. And he, of course, been one of the best Canucks work ethic wise and just being noticeable in every game. He's just doing his normal thing. But he's been really good with playmaking so far this season. That's why he leads the Canucks in points. But they're the guys that lead the way. And right now, with Pettersson not producing at the level that we're hoping right now, hopefully that's changed, like we were saying earlier. And of course, Besser's still contributing, and Chytil is hurt now. So, I mean, these guys are going to have to continue doing that for the Canucks to keep going on. But they're just doing their job and then some right now, and playing both in the top 6 with the injuries. So,
yeah, I think even from the start when Conor Garland, I mean, with Kiefer Sherwood, it always made sense. Like that, what is 2-year, $1.5 million? Like that was a guaranteed positive value contract. Even if he wasn't scoring the goals, like just his physicality. But with Conor Garland, I feel like it's always been an uphill battle with him in Vancouver. Just because he came over in the Ekman-Larsson trade. That trade in itself didn't work out super well. But Conor Garland, each year it seems like he's getting better and better. He's such a hardworking guy, and that's what gets him his results. We keep saying that, and I know that's like such a cliche thing to say, but he really is. Conor Garland is the hardest working player in the NHL.
Yeah. I love him. I've really liked it that he re-signed on the extension, and I didn't like when they were talking about the trade rumors with him. I think a couple seasons ago, and said that he requested a trade, which he said he didn't. And then he re-signs a long term here, so he definitely wants to be here, and he shows it every game that he wants to be a key player on the Canucks. And he's one of their best players, and it seems like he's a fixture in the top 6 right now, even with everyone healthy.
Yeah, and that's important. Like he's developed into one of the guys that you need in your lineup. So, good on him, and good for the Canucks for just kind of seeing everything through. Because that trade wasn't a pretty one, but it's worked out pretty well actually. So. You mentioned when you were talking about goal scoring, you mentioned the Stars and the Blackhawks. Canucks are on a 5-game road trip. They're starting to shape up. They're starting to play well. How do you see the next 2 games going? So they've got Pittsburgh and they've got Nashville. What do you hope to see out of those 2 games?
Basically more of the same, except for falling down 2-0. They did that against the Blackhawks and the Stars, back-to-back games. Falling down 2-0 after the first period and coming back to win both. I mean, you don't want to do that every night. Against the Capitals, they didn't. They actually led the all game. Kind of had to hold on at the end, but you're 10 forwards, 3 games in 4 nights. There was going to be a point where you're going to start seeing that fatigue, and the Capitals really pushed. Ended up holding on, winning 4-3. But I mean, I'm really liking their game in the first 3 games of this road trip. It was going to be a tough one. I thought they were definitely going to lose against the Stars because they were on a winning streak. Capitals, again, they were on a winning streak, 4-game winning streak. Canucks snapped that. And the Blackhawks, they seem to be a tough out early on for a lot of teams. And they played pretty well against them, even though they did fall down 2-0 at the beginning there. But the resilience that I really liked in those first 2 games were that they didn't just fall down and lose, just the ball just kept rolling downhill and you just couldn't stop it, which happened a lot last season where they would fall down and they couldn't come back. I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but I know that they didn't have many wins when they were trailing going into the third period. You basically say they're going to lose if they go into the third trailing. But I mean, the last bunch, like against the Stars, they scored 4 goals in the second period. To blow that game, open against a team that's one of the best in the league. And I mean, the Blackhawks didn't fall down and didn't score a ton like the Stars, but again showed that resilience that they could come back in games, and that's huge for a team to come together like that. So I'm really liking that, especially, and then the depth scoring that they were getting from, like we mentioned, Sherwood and Garland, and the defense has played really well. Tyler Myers has been he's like he's gotten a second wind in the back half of his career here with the Canucks, and I've mentioned before of how he's been kind of criticized by the fan base here. He's always not been the best defensively. I think that since Adam Foote took over on defense, he's been one of their best defensemen. And I'll keep saying that because he's stepped up as being one of their shutdown guys alongside Marcus Pettersson. So, I mean, overall, the Canucks game has just been so much better since the first 2 games of the season, where they kind of were up in first 3, actually, where they're really kind of up and down. But this road trip, and usually a road trip kind of galvanizes a team, and especially early on. So I think this is a good road trip to come. And this is a tough one. The 3 games before nights here, by the end of it, they'll be 7-12, which is just crazy for me. And they're playing, the fatigue will set in. I think against the Penguins and the Predators, it's going to be interesting to see how they play. But yeah, really good start. Even if they end 3-2, that's really good. They're going to finish above 500. And that I don't think anyone really anticipated going in.
Well, and I look at the schedule and I wonder, like, if the teams were backwards, like, I think it's almost a surefire 3-2 at this point. Like at the end of a 5-game road trip, if you're playing the Stars, you're not gonna win that.
No.
But Nashville and Pittsburgh are 2 very winnable games, even on the end of a 5-game road trip. So, yeah, look to see their success out of that. And we will probably see you next week for another episode of the Vancouver Canucks News and Rumors on the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. Make sure to check out all the other episodes. Check out all the content on thehockeywriters.com. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.